Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Okay, cool. Thank you for joining. It looks like we're split about half and half. Some of you are on the computer and can see a blank screen. I have a little presentation loading that you'll be able to see soon. And the rest of you that are on the phone, I just emailed out a PowerPoint. The PowerPoint isn't like amazing. You are going to follow along and enjoy tonight's call without it. It's just the home of every single resource and link that we'll reference on tonight's call. So it'll look pretty if you're on the computer. It'll be helpful later on. Does that make sense?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right. So to get us started, I'm going to ask for those of you that are on the phone right now if you could mute your speakers. We'll do introductions of everybody, get this call going, and then when you speak, you can unmute your phone. And hopefully that will work. Okay, so I was echoing there for a minute. That's good. It looks like that got fixed. All right. So my name is Johanna Bergen, and I am the Director of Member Services for Youth Move National. I hope that you're calling in to talk about Recovery Month and Wellness Week and how those awareness campaigns impact our work. And we are, I'm really excited to introduce you to my co-presenter, and I'm going to have you guys meet Devin, and then I want everyone to go around the room and share your name and the community that you're with so we know who's on the phone, and we'll get right into the meat of tonight's call and learn more about Recovery Month. So Devin, would you mind starting us off with introductions?
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Johanna. Hi, everybody. So my name is Devin Fox, and I'm a person in recovery from a primary diagnosis of a substance use disorder and a secondary diagnosis of a co-occurring mental health condition. For me, that's depression. So I have quite a few different hats for the sake of this call. I'm representing Youth Move. I sit on the board of directors for Youth Move National as the vice president of the board of directors. And I'm also employed at a substance use disorder treatment facility called Life of Purpose, where we treat adolescents and young adults with substance use disorders who've had their academic life disrupted in some way, most usually from drug addiction itself. So it's really, really nice to be here. I'm all about Youth Move. I'm all about cross systems, breaking down silos and reaching across those divides and like working together towards the greater good about youth voice, about the young person's voice, being involved on all levels in the individual, in the family level, in the community level, in the state level, in the national level. So I'm really excited to be here, and thanks everybody for having me.
Awesome, and I'm so glad that you're joining us, Devin. So Devin will cover the Recovery Month portion, and I'll chime in on Wellness Week, and hopefully we get some time throughout the call to hear about the work that's happening in all of your communities. So if we could really quickly run around our virtual room and share your name and the community that you're with, and we'll go free for all until nobody talks, and then I'll call you out. All right, let's start with Arlene.
Hi, this is Sharice with Youth Move Houston, Harris County.
Awesome, welcome.
Hi, this is Sierra Khan with Youth Move Miami-Dade County.
Hello, this is Jason Corlin with Youth Move New Jersey, Hudson County.
This is Marquita calling in from Youth Move Georgia.
Welcome. All right, who else is on? Peter, Arlene, Raphael. You guys can say hi in the chat too. That works. All right, you can be shy. But for sure, Raphael's on representing Youth Move National. And I see some of the others are typing right now, which is good. So throughout the call tonight, if you're on the computer and you have something to say or a question to ask that you don't want to lose, feel free to chat it in there. I'll include those questions in our notes, as well as answering them and getting any resources out to you that you need. Okay, perfect. That's awesome. So folks are figuring out the chat screen. So I am carefully aware that Devin's sharing his limited time with us this evening, and I want to make sure that we get to hear from him about the importance of Recovery Month. So here in just a second, I'm going to share my screen, and as I'm doing that, you will get the chance to hear from Devin. And so Devin, if you'll share about Recovery Month and what we need to know about it, that would be awesome.
About that. Absolutely, and thank you, Johanna. Just to give everybody a heads up, I will have to leave around 6:30. And that's surprisingly has a lot to do with my own personal recovery. You know, there's things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis to like keep myself in like a state of balance, both with my substance use disorder and with my mental health condition, so with my depression. So, you know, I have a couple of chronic diseases, and if I don't take care of these things and deal with like the shame and the guilt that I have that's attached to a lot of these things, for me, this often leads to, you know, some negative health consequences. That could be a lapse in unwanted behaviors, whether that's picking up and abusing substances, or you know, just staying in bed and never getting up and being productive. So while I am very productive in the world and in my profession, you know, this job as an advocate, this job of like doing and living and working within the youth voice capacity is incredibly important, but on the other side is also important that if I want to keep doing that, I need to take care of myself. So, you know, and that's a kind of, I guess, a kind of nice segue into the recovery month. And I'm sure most of you may know, and if you don't know, Recovery Month is nationally the month of September. And the month of September is all about like recovery from both from mental health and from substance use disorder, and so behavioral health is what some people like to call that. And I think the most important thing about this is that like we acknowledge on all levels at Youth Move that, you know, that recovery does not just happen in September. That recovery happens all over, you know, the whole year round, and we just use and utilize the opportunity of September to really give like a spotlight on recovery as a serious issue that many people deal with on a consistent basis. You know, that also it's not time to celebrate our achievements, to, you know, raise awareness around recovery in general across systems. And it's a really cool opportunity to do that. So, you know, just to give a snapshot, there's a lot of different things that are happening during Recovery Month on both sides of the spectrum, in both systems of care, not the systems of care model from mental health I'm talking about just in general the systems. So there's a lot of mental health recovery events that are happening. There's a lot of substance use disorder recovery events that are happening. I know that there's a lot of recovery walks for both sides, for both parties itself, and there's some specific things I think that are interesting, some tangible things that like we can really begin to talk about. Is there's a perfect segue or a perfect way to like reach across this silo to talk to like a group of individuals that are advocating for a common goal of recovery. Is I know there's a organization called Young People in Recovery. I'm a founding member of this organization. I was their first executive director, and there's about 22 different chapters across the United States in 21 different states. And they advocate about recovery from substance use disorders. So I also sit on the board for Youth Move, and I'm very well connected, and the president of the board of directors is a member of Youth Move North Carolina. And we also have a People in Recovery chapter of Raleigh, North Carolina, which is just so happens to be right around the same place Brittany Holt from Youth Move North Carolina lives. And so what they're doing, and I think this is really important to talk about at this meeting, is they're working to figure out like how, like if they're inviting each other to each other's table. They're saying, hey, Brittany, you know, we're having this Young People in Recovery meeting that we have monthly. We really would love to have a Youth Move voice at the table so we can work together and achieve some common goals. And on the other side, there's Brittany and Youth Move North Carolina that's saying, hey, Young People in Recovery of North Carolina, Raleigh, and Charlotte, you know, we are doing things across the system of care in North Carolina itself, and we want to bring the youth and young person voice from substance use disorders to the table. So there on a community level, on a local level, you see like recovery events happening in Recovery Month itself, and also outside of Recovery Month, where we are beginning to raise awareness and work together to really talk about, hey, you know, recovery is not just one linear, like, static event. It's not just something that happens one time. This is something that, you know, individuals deal with from now until the rest of their lives, or they may not even know what recovery is. And, you know, there's an opportunity to engage the public and really teach people about what recovery can mean for them. So Recovery Month is pretty cool. You know, you can do things on the local level. I know that there's a lot of things happening on the national level. There's like a Recovery Month national luncheon that's happening. There's, I think the White House this year is putting on a recovery event because Michael Botticelli is the drug czar of the Office of the National Drug Control Policy. And so he's a man that has 25 years in recovery from a substance use disorder. And they're bringing people into recovery from across systems to talk about and share their story and experience with recovery itself. So, you know, in whatever way you like to operate, there's always somewhere for you to get involved, and there's always, always, always space for more and more and more youth voice. Because, you know, we are a changing generation. We consistently get older. We're dealing with millennials stepping up into like a more adult positions, and we still have youth that are even younger than millennials at this point. And as we move forward, our voices are going to continue to be needed to be brought to the table. So I think that's about, you know, Recovery Month is pretty cool. So it's in September, next month.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Devin. I know I do lots of work over the phone, and I really appreciate hearing Devin's energy and passion coming through the phone. And I felt like he was one of the people that needed to talk to us about why the recovery movement and celebrating is so important. So in the PowerPoint that you're seeing, there is a list of a ton of resources that have been collected and are made available from SAMHSA. And I have spent lots of time looking at all of these resources and kind of seeing what would be easily used, what's helpful, and so a short list of things to look at is provided through that PowerPoint. While we have the chance to ask Devin questions, I'd like to kind of open it up. And I have sort of a two-pronged question for those of you on the phone. The first is the recovery language familiar to you? Does this match your work? Is this work that you're doing with young people? Are young people in your organizations and chapters interested in this work? And then the second is generally what sort of questions for help or resources would you ask of Devin while we have his expertise? And we'd leave it open to you guys now.
Well, this is Jason from Hudson County, New Jersey, Youth Move chapter. I haven't yet brought up, Recovery Month and Wellness Week with the youth group, but I'm definitely I'm pretty sure that that's something that would catch their interest as substance abuse and mental health. As you know, they go hand in hand, and they're not isolated or to one population or to one demographic. It's everywhere, widespread. It don't matter what race, color, gender, creed you are. So definitely, I believe that the youth in our chapter would be interested, or going to be interested. I definitely start speaking about that in the next, the next meeting. As far as what Devin could offer, I would want to ask if, this would be a question, I guess, for the near future. If in the event with advance notification, would it be possible if we planned a day, speaking about Hudson Youth Move chapter, and if we would be able to Skype you, because right now I wouldn't be able to generate a list of particular questions that the youth may have. So I wanted to know, would you be able to make yourself available via Skype or any other live interaction where the youth would be able to ask you questions in real time?
So Jason, hey, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear you. Absolutely. Of course, it's always going to be better with advance notice, so that I don't know when I became an adult, but all of a sudden, like, I have an adult schedule. So yeah, with advance notice, we can figure out a time and a date, and we can definitely Skype me in. I'll be able to probably throw out some dates too that I'll be in New Jersey. I mean, I'm in Delray Beach, Florida right now, but I know I'm planning on being up in the area at some point within the next few months. So if that's a definite, my travel to New Jersey is a definite, then I'll let you know. If not, then I would love to do a Skype session at some point. So I guess Johanna, like after that call or later on, if everybody has access to my email, if that's something that people want to talk about and discuss, then I am available for that type of thing. And I'm only saying that because there's like 5 of you on the phone. But yeah, also, I do want to say, so there is a Young People in Recovery New Jersey chapter, and they spread across the entire state of New Jersey, and so I would be able to hook you up with some of those really awesome advocates as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
And on top of that, so they can almost do like a more follow up after that.
Right. All right, cool. Thanks, man. And then I don't want to use the word perfect timing, because you don't want to use someone's tragedy as an example, but rest in peace to Robin Williams, who suffered from substance abuse. It just happened yesterday, so I just wanted to put that out there to the universe. Rest in peace to him. And that's
sure.
No matter how much money or fame you got, no one's immune to it.
Yeah, I do know. Not everybody gets better in one way or at the same time, and whether or not you're 23 or 63, this is something that we as a community are going to be dealing with from now and for forever probably. So yeah, you're right. It's not time. It's never a good time to utilize somebody's tragedy as a platform, but it is always time, I think, no matter what, whether or not it's somebody's death or the celebration of somebody's life, to have an open discussion and a dialogue about issues.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, excellent. So now that Devin's given me permission to send you all his email, wait, no.
Totally.
So if you guys are interested in Devin's messages, I can definitely help you connect. Some of you, he's CC'd on some of our call emails tonight as well. And then also, Devin, I'm hearing that a first step might be to reach out to a Young People in Recovery chapter. So find out if there's one in your state and reach out to that initiative. Would that be a good first step?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good first step. And I know that in that list of resources, you also had a website called Transforming Youth Recovery. And on there, they have an actual map, which is able to give, you can look at it in all different types of ways, but there's a specific map for the 108 universities across the United States that have collegiate recovery efforts for substance use disorder happening. So not only are there Young People in Recovery chapters, but there's also a lot of colleges and universities that are beginning substance use disorder programs on campus to support youth and young adults in recovery. Like Georgia, I don't know if there's a YPR in Georgia. I know Georgia has a friend of mine started in Atlanta in recovery, and that's AIR, is something happening there. I'm not sure who else was on the phone, but I think there's something in everybody's state from what I heard.
Okay, cool. Other questions or thoughts for Devin now?
Devin, this is Marquita from Youth Move Georgia. What was the name of the contact here in the Georgia area for the youth?
Sure. Her name is Sissy, and she's on my Facebook. I know I think the organization is called Atlanta in Recovery, AIR.
Okay.
And I know that if you Facebook them, there's a Facebook page for them, and the young woman's name is Sissy. And there's not Killington. There's a University of Georgia. They have a collegiate recovery community happening in Georgia itself, and on that map on Transforming Youth Recovery, they will tell you which one. I think it's Kennesaw. Is that a city in Georgia?
It's an actual
Kennesaw?
school. Yes, it is. Kennesaw.
Yeah. So it's Kennesaw, and they will definitely have a better understanding of what that is. And if you can't get in touch with AIR, then there's the Kennesaw Collegiate Recovery Community that's happening as well.
Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Devin, from online the chat, Christy is asking, are there any specific Recovery Month events that have been very effective?
So I always found walks to be incredibly effective. I know that the Philadelphia ProAct walk, and know everybody that like most of my experience comes from the substance use disorder side of recovery. So when I say this, that's just because I haven't necessarily seen the mental health side, and I think Johanna will probably be able to give you a better understanding of that. But from the substance use disorder recovery side, I've seen that walks are incredibly are big. So every year ProAct, which is the recovery community organization in Philadelphia, and they have 4 physical locations, they put on a recovery walk, and thousands of people show up from all over the tri-state area. I know New Jersey is having their first recovery walk separate than Philadelphia this year. One year, I think there was a recovery walk that walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. There's a couple recovery walks elsewhere. I know that some places are doing screenings of the anonymous people. I know there was a time when I think NAMI had partnered with Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and they did a walk. I always found that those were helpful. Now, if you don't have the people and the numbers to go to a walk, then there's always a possibility to have a documentary that you find to be really powerful and supportive of recovery, and to put on a screening so that you can invite people, you can invite treatment centers, you can invite the recovery community from both sides, come in and see, and you can talk, and you can have vendors, and you can build an event around that and have a panel of people to talk about how they can be involved. Those are always really helpful, and press always really like to do that. We can always get somebody from the press to moderate, and they're thrilled and honored and all that stuff. So it's you can just be really creative with it.
Awesome. So, Devin, I know you're running up against time. I have always been amazed by your story and how you found a safe place to go to school and how your education journey went. Would you mind sharing just a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the many times that I entered into recovery or was in the process of recovery, I went to treatment for substance use disorder in New Jersey, and when I had about 90 days for me abstinent, sober, and for me, I identified that as being in recovery at the time, I decided to apply to go back to the same school that my addiction had started at Rutgers in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And they had a collegiate recovery community there on campus. And there were dorms for students in recovery from a substance use disorder. And I lived there for 3 years. And while I was there, I obtained my bachelor's and then my master's in social work. I became the RA for the Rutgers Recovery House. And then through that work, I started and helped found the national organization Young People in Recovery, which I've been talking about. And that kind of launched me into this advocacy world. I began being an advocate for recovery with the national, with NCAD, the National Center for Alcoholism and Drug Dependency of New Jersey. And I would go and I learned how to be an advocate, how to tell my story, how to tell my recovery story rather than my addiction story, and to talk about and use that as a vehicle for change, so that we make change in our systems and we break down silos and we continue to do the best we can for youth and young adults in recovery from both a substance use disorder and from other mental health issues. So it all happened because I decided to do something and get something and obtain something that addiction would never ever be able to take away from me. And even when and if or whenever I die, I'll still always have my degrees.
Well, thank you, Devin. Awesome. So again, you guys can have more questions for Devin, and we will forward them on or get you connected so they can answer them. But hopefully your wheels are spinning a little bit about how this recovery work fits in with the work that you're doing, and some ideas, if you're already having this conversation in your community, ideas about how to take it to the next level. And thank you so much, Devin.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody. Talk to you soon. Have a good one.
All right. So just really quickly, I'm going to pull back this slide of resources. It is worth checking out SAMHSA's Recovery Month website. There are pages and pages of information, and this information is actually helpful for work that we do outside of recovery as well. So the toolkits that have been developed over the last many, many years, this is 2.5 decades worth of celebrating Recovery Month on the national level. Each year a toolkit is developed, and this includes how to talk to media, how to create press releases, how to engage your mayor and city council in issuing proclamations. Of course, the samples on the website here are for proclamations around Recovery Month, but they are very easily used and adapted for other causes that your community and your young people are interested in celebrating. If you will definitely be promoting Recovery Month, there's some easy kind of I call it low-hanging fruit ways to get involved. So there's lots of things to put on your website. So on your organization's website, on your Facebook page, there are widgets to show that you're supporting Recovery Month. And the one that I included in tonight's presentation is actually to send an inspirational card. So if people pop up on their website, they can, choose to send a card of hope to their sister or to their cousin or to somebody else in their Youth Move chapter. There's also a newsletter you can sign up to get updates. And throughout this work of Recovery Month, there has been a very strong push to include and engage our communities on social media. So there is toolkits actually to help people understand how to use Tumblr and Twitter and YouTube, and I've actually found this helpful when I'm approaching audiences that are a little more mature in age who aren't quite savvy online, and the content in these toolkits has been very readable and understandable, and I haven't had to recreate the wheel. So even if you're not going to go all out for next month with Recovery Month, I would just suggest that you take a look about how these resources might help you. And most of the content is available both in Spanish and English. And the Recovery Month celebration is very active both on Twitter and Facebook. So you can go ahead and find them and follow their content. As you're using those resources, if you have questions or if you find something that's really helpful or something that's missing, please let us know. Devin does represent Youth Move National to SAMHSA's planning team for Recovery Month. So we advise and provide input about the services and resources that we need, and so it's really helpful to hear from you guys about what you'd like to see in future recovery toolkits. All right. Any other recovery questions right now?
Hey, Johanna, this is Raphael.
Hey, Raph, how are you?
I'm good. I was able to get back on. I had got disconnected. What have chapters, YouTube chapters done in the past for Recovery Month?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Youth Move chapters on the call tonight, and I'm wondering if any of you have celebrated in any way, or if this is all new.
This is Jason from Youth Move, New Jersey. I'm new to, I've never celebrated or we've never discussed it. Not to my knowledge. Perhaps maybe in past years. But I know me personally as the youth coach, youth coach director, youth coach for Hudson County, we have yet to discuss it. But I think it's going to be a very interesting topic, across the board. So looking forward to it. But I'd be interested to hear, if any other chapters in New Jersey or whatever state you're from. I'm open to ideas of, how to facilitate or how to open up, just dialogue, icebreakers and things of that nature.
Cool, Jason, that's awesome. And I think that's the energy that I was sort of envisioning would come to this call. So Raphael, to my knowledge, a year ago, we included Recovery Month in a little blurb, 7 minutes of a longer call to get people talking about it. And what we realized from that experience is that we needed to spend more time, that this wasn't a topic that all of our chapters or even a majority of our chapters were looking at. But what we do know, and what I'm kind of showing on this slide, which is pulled from the facts section of the Recovery Month Wellness site, is helping people make the connections between the work that most of our chapters do in the mental health field and the work that's happening in the recovery field. I think that there's a reason that we're having this call and a reason that we're trying to get the young people in the recovery movement, whom Devin is representing, connected with our group. And last year I know that several of our chapters did engage on social media with us, sharing our posts and kind of engaging in some Twitter chat. So pretty low-hanging fruit to participate in. And then I want to echo what Devin said, which is, yeah, we celebrate this in September, but this is work that we do every day, all year long.
This is Sierra from Youth Move Miami. I just wanted to share what we're doing. So I wasn't with Youth Move Miami last year. Actually, I think I was, but I wasn't aware of Recovery Month. So for this month, we've already done something for the PeerLink National Technical Assistance Center. They have a wellness work week, which I have the link that I just put up in the chat. And it's kind of asking for some artsy creations, whether it's a video or a poem or photography or artwork that your chapter, your kids can submit to talk about wellness. So we did a video called Perceptions, and it was entirely youth-led. If anyone's interested, I'll put it up in the chat. We want to do something large-scale for Recovery Month. It's just that we're in the process of moving to a new center, so we're probably going to stick with social media and digital stuff for this month, this year. But if anyone's interested, I can put it up in the chat.
I'm interested.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sierra, thanks for owning what's possible for Miami in the next 6 weeks, right? And so if you're going to participate on social media and digital, which you guys do really well, that's an awesome way to get involved. And in a way, I think everyone on this call can at least get their toes wet in this awareness month. And what you guys can all tell us is what you need, how we can support you in doing more.
Okay, this is Marquita again from Youth Move Georgia. And it's interesting that this call is happening when it's happening, only because this upcoming weekend, I'm actually having a Federation conference with the Families of Federation here in Georgia, along with some of the youth that are interested in forming Youth Move chapters outside of the one big one that we have going on now. So I'm actually going to branch out in the different districts and regions here in Georgia. So with September being like Recovery Month and, we have the Wellness Week, I'm looking at using this as a tool for recruitment, only to, kind of ping out there to the youth and young adults and let them know this is your chance to really shine. This is your chance to really make your voice heard. And I'm going to kind of use it as a recruitment tool because, again, here in Georgia, we're still back and trying to get up and running because we've been off the map for a while. But I'm going to use it as a recruitment type tool to kind of get them more engaged, let them know that this is what it's all about, and see how that goes, especially with September being the main month that I'm actually having 2 meetings with the different youth from different areas. And those are already set on the calendar. So that's kind of how I'm going to use this thing right now.
Cool. Awesome. Marquita, that's great. And I would just say just spend, dedicate a few minutes to get on that website and see the resources, and then feel free to ask and reach out for questions. But you're right. It's about finding the topic that speaks to young people to get them engaged so they understand this matters to me, and if my voice is at the table, change will happen.
All right, gotcha. I'll make sure I ping in and check it out.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I am super excited about recovery and really glad we got to hear from Devin. There is another week that occurs in September, and so this event is a week instead of a month, and it falls within Recovery Month because it makes sense. It makes sense to celebrate wellness within the recovery movement, and both SAMHSA's vision and the recovery movement's mission fall in line with the wellness work. I really briefly, for those of you who may not be well-versed, there is a body of work called the 8 Dimensions of Wellness, which has been adopted by SAMHSA as a way to map out and explain our individual journey to wellness. And this concept has been pretty well accepted across the country, which I'm always surprised at. I'm always waiting for people, and I'm very open to kind of input about this, but it ends up speaking to individuals really well. And so wellness is made up of, in this theory, 8 components or 8 circles. And so my wellness is emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental. And I need to be well and own my wellness in each of those 8 dimensions to have holistic or overall wellness. And I hear over and over again, and I'm only guessing that you're hearing it as well, young people say, treat us as a whole being. Stop treating just our head, stop treating just our behavior, stop treating just our role in school, but treat every single aspect of us, because it all together makes us an individual. And so the Wellness Week is really about celebrating and bringing awareness to these 8 dimensions of wellness. So again, there's a website all about these 8 dimensions of wellness. And the website has both logos to go on your website, as well as tools. And so these tools include lots of printouts that you can either order from the store online, or you can just print out. And I'll tell you that every single month, the wellness resources, the ones that they mail out, they use them all up. They have an allotment that they can print every month. And at the end of the month, there is never any left over. So I've just sort of relied on printing them myself because it's been challenging to be able to get the handouts. For those of you, I know a few of you on the call attended the Georgetown Training Institutes. The wellness fair that was hosted jointly with My Life and Youth Move was based on these 8 wellness dimensions of wellness, and that wellness fair was actually, we were led in the designing of it by Dr. Peggy Schwarbuck, who is the original author of the material that this is drafted off of. So if you saw that wellness fair, that was a way that we took this sort of fuddy-duddy logo of 8 dimensions of wellness and turned it into a really tangible, physical, inviting wellness fair that engaged everyone who came. So you go online, there's lots of information, fact sheets that help you convince your partners that wellness matters, that we should be caring about our nutritional wellness and our physical wellness and our financial wellness, just like we care about our mental health wellness. There are also public service announcements that you can use and share in your community, and that is a place that I would urge you to check out. And so then here is the calendar of events. So Wellness Week begins Monday, September 15th, and runs through the following Sunday. And each day then is dedicated to 1 or 2 of the dimensions of wellness. So on Monday, it's an overview of the dimensions, Tuesday, physical, Wednesday, intellectual. You get the idea. And there are activities and social media and website information for each of these dimensions. And then communities across the country who host events can pick and choose, and some of their events will be attached to one specific dimension, and some will be more like the wellness fair that we modeled and be on covering all of the 8 dimensions. And so this is information that I would encourage you guys to check out. And I also know that some of you on the phone already are engaged in wellness work with your youth, and that's awesome. Maybe some of the work you're already doing fits into this celebration week, or maybe this is the time that you start that work. I'll share just 2 things. There's one action that every single one of you can do as an individual today, and that is to sign on and take the Wellness Pledge. And the Wellness Pledge, you sign on, you put in your name, and then there's a whole slew of options. And you select the things that you will commit to. So you could commit to making, trying to get a little more physical activity in your day. Or there are commitments you can make or pledges that you can make for the dimensions, and you choose what you pledge to. Organizations can also sign on and take the Wellness Pledge. So Youth Move National has signed on as an organization that supports and encourages the promotion of wellness. And I'd encourage each of you that's with the Youth Move chapter to have your individual Youth Move chapter sign on as an organization to take that Wellness Pledge, as well as to consider doing that individually and with the young people that you serve. Every once in a while, someone lets me gets close to SAMHSA staff members, bless their hearts, and then I start talking really loudly and really fastly about how exciting and important the wellness work is. And what I would love to see is young people kind of rally behind me, and even if it's in this little way, to take this pledge, because you guys tell me all the time that it's important, and to get that commitment on paper is really huge. And then the other way, and this is actually both for the wellness events that you do and the recovery events that you do. There is an online map for wellness and recovery. Anywhere in the country you are, if you're having an event any time of year, you can log in and put your event and information in. This might be as simple as holding a webinar about the work that you're doing. It might be holding a resource fair. Whatever it is, you can get your community recognized for the work you're doing by getting your information, your map. You can also make yourself accessible to the people in your wider community who maybe don't know the work that you're doing. And I love going on these maps, if only to borrow the ideas of others. So this is a really great place for me to go for inspiration, is just to look at these maps and see what's happening in other parts of the country. So with that, I am very interested in the work that you guys are doing around wellness already, or any questions that you have about the Wellness Week and the resources available for that. You're so quiet. All right.
Let me ask you, Joanna, when's the next, I guess when will the next call occur? Will we have another call prior to, the actual Wellness Recovery Week? And, in the event any other additional questions come up, I'm sure we could probably contact you individually. But I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a really great question, Jason.
Yeah, we could touch base probably maybe like at the end of the month or something like that. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have a call scheduled to talk about wellness or recovery. We do have calls on other topics. And so there'll be a time to talk to other chapters and talk to Youth Move staff, and you can totally ask us those questions, but they won't be in the context of a call like this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then that's one thing, actually, it's sort of interesting you said that, Jason. I oftentimes find that I just sort of get my interest piqued at a call like this, and then it's hard without that kind of follow-up. So I'm very open to how people react and feel after we have calls like this about what next steps are helpful. Does that make sense? Like optional follow-up calls, or is just the call enough and then we do email from there? Or if some of you are really excited about it and want to keep talking about it, then you let me know. We kind of have a smaller group working. There are options, to keep that work going.
Mm-hmm.
So, Raphael, are you still with us?
I am.
Awesome. So I know that you and Bree shared some really great knowledge about sharing our story and measuring impact on a call last month. And it sounds to me like there are different people on this call than there were on that call. Would you be able to speak a little bit to, if you do hold events, how best to measure that impact and why we might want to do that?
Oh, sure. Just before I begin, who was on last month's call? Was anybody on last month's call?
Youth Move Georgia was.
I believe I was on the last month's call. I'm pretty sure I was.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. Well, Johanna is absolutely right on. It is super duper important that we're capturing the data from the activities that we have, and it's really important because so oftentimes we continue in the work. We're so passionate and so focused on what we're doing, and then when the activity has completed, it's very hard. Someone asks us, well, how was the event? It's very helpful to tell that person how many people attended, or how many volunteer hours were spent, or how many volunteers were a part of that event. And so it's definitely really important to measure those numbers. There's several ways. You can use surveys that measure, how many people were attending. That you can also categorize, what kind of event it was. And it's really helpful. We talked a lot last month even about the strength in numbers. If we are able to say, I'm not sure what everybody will end up doing for Recovery Month, but how powerful is it for, all of the chapters that decide to do it? They capture how many young people were impacted, or how many, adults were impacted, and we bring those numbers together and say, hey, look, as a collective body, this is what we've done. It helps to build the case for funding. And as you're telling the story, to be able to tell the story with real numbers. So that's just a little bit. Hannah, you kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but it's okay.
You did great.
Right.
You did awesome. So Raphael is our Director of Research Development, and not a week goes by that she doesn't ask, how many people were there? How many people have we impacted? Who's gotten our information? And then when she asks me that, I say, well, let me call this Youth Move chapter and bother them and ask them to tell me how many people came. So we may or may not be building in some more targeted questions in chapter annual reporting to get at that. But yeah, and Verlice, I'm like channeling Verlice, who is not on the call, I don't think. But Verlice, you're inspiring me if you're not. She told me exactly, like to the number, like we have impacted 681 people this year. And I was like, how do you know that? And she said, oh, well, I have a spreadsheet. And she has a spreadsheet, and every time young people hold an event or go to a meeting or attend a conference or talk about the work that they do, she just writes the event down and the number of people that came. And so when she got to her annual report question at the end of the year, which said, how many young people have you impacted over the last year, she just looked at her spreadsheet and typed the number in. And some of her cohorts in other chapters had to call me and say, what do you mean by impact? What if I didn't count them? What am I going to do? And so we have found and changed the way we report and record and measure our impact over the last year and a half. And I just think it's important to take those 4 minutes to remind you guys about how important it is for your work as well.
Absolutely. And Johanna, just if I could just share, you know, in my role as I go and I talk to different funders and corporations, you know, that's part of the benefit of being, one of the benefits of being with Youth Move National is that you don't have to do it by yourself. That's why you have the national leadership team that is there on your side that's holding different calls like this, but they can also go to the different foundations or go to, you know, different government agencies and say, hey, this is what we need and where we need it. And so that's even information that prepares me and arms me for whenever I'm going into a meeting. It's really, really important. So like whenever Lacey is speaking, you know, or even Johanna, I'll say, you know, when we're speaking to people in your states and we're saying, hey, you got to check out Youth Move Miami, it's very easy for us to say, hey, this is how many young people they're impacting. You know, this is their programming. This is, you know, what they're doing, so that we can build the case for Youth Move, you know, taking youth voice everywhere.
Sweet, thank you. Awesome. Do you guys have other questions for the team about recovery, about Wellness Week? I'm going to take silence to mean that you're all going to email me your questions tomorrow, which is totally fine. And I can't wait to hear them. I couldn't go to sleep tonight without tooting our horn a little bit and asking all of you to check out our new website, which is the same URL but has a new look and feel. And I'm very excited about it and open to feedback. For you guys, it's got some components that aren't complete yet, so there'll be a new way to highlight our chapters work and a new way to share resources, and those will unfold over the coming weeks. But I'm excited for you guys to see it and check it out now. And if you haven't yet seen the Youth Move National Annual Report, it is out. There's a link in this PowerPoint as well as being on our website in the About Us section. And hopefully those are both tools that you can use in your work to support the idea that youth voice and youth involvement is happening all across the country. And we are all individuals who are part of a whole strong national movement. So we're excited to do that. I'm excited to take the work that you guys do to celebrate recovery and wellness to our national partners to show them how cool young people are and how important, as Devin said, it is to have that millennial voice at every table because we are changing the way the world works and the way these movements work. And as always, I'm available in between our calls for more resources. And you can find out more about us online in all of those places. And I'll hang around for a few minutes if you guys have burning questions for me. that sound good?
That was great.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Johanna, this is Jeremy Long. Just letting you know that I got on a little late, but I was here, so.
Jeremy from Virginia, thank you for representing.
Anytime.
Oh, Jeremy.
It's weird to not be in the role of Youth Move National on these calls now.
You didn't take notes for me. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm sorry.